You're listening to the Off the Line podcast, and I am your host Rahul Panikar. With me today is Mr. Avinash Arun, and for his first ever appearance on our podcast is Mr. Tanay Ghosh. How are you guys doing?
Thank you so much for having me here. Also, I feel this is a pretty great time to be a Chelsea fan. I mean, we secured top four. We've got Champions League next season, baby. But we've got such a big match coming up. Probably our biggest game in the last 9 years. And I'm absolutely buzzed. I can't wait for Saturday night. And I can't wait for Chelsea to absolutely demolish City.
Yeah, I mean, likewise, because, it's been a mixed season. We've had few disappointments, and hopefully we can end it on the highest of highs this year.
Yeah, and I see that both of you are grinning year to year at the prospect of this UCL final. So, from a fan's perspective, so how does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, Chelsea have always wanted to be, a top club, especially in Europe. And, once we won the Champions League in 2012, there were signs that we were going up. We started attracting better players. We started attracting the talents that wanted to, take another step in their career. But it didn't really pan out. We haven't really won the Champions League. There were a couple of seasons when we didn't even qualify for it. And now to see this team with a good mix of youngsters and experience, for this team to actually qualify and to beat a few heavyweights on the way to the finals, it's wonderful to see. And hopefully we have a good game in the finals.
Look, the last few matches for us, I'll be very honest, okay? The last few matches, I feel we've been a little bit off. We've not been, let's say, we've not been up to the Chelsea standards. We've had some good product in the good output in the final third, but I feel the attacking will improve in the coming season. Apart from that, I just feel this loss to Aston Villa and the losses to both Leicester in the cup final and the loss to Arsenal. I just hope we can use that as fuel. I hope we can use that as the fire we need and just go and absolutely demolish City this Saturday night.
Yeah, and I'm sure that all Chelsea fans around the world share your sentiment as well. So, before we start, it's the obligatory. I'd like to request everyone listening to please subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Spotify so that we can keep bringing you these episodes. Right. So, starting off, the 1920 season, we saw Thomas Tuchel and Thiago Silva make it all the way to the final with PSG, but they fell on the final hurdle to a pretty strong Bayern Munich team. So, how much of a factor do you think that will be, coming in to this particular final? Do you think Tuchel will consider it a different match altogether, or will there be a small, I want revenge, or I want some sort of, it needs to be redemption for me this year. How do you feel?
Look, I think the final last year, he was with PSG, very different set of players, almost a different, I won't say a different style of play, but a different philosophy at work that we got to see. I think it's not really, revenge will not be the first thing on his mind on Saturday night. I think it will just be getting the job done. If you go by his interviews, if you listen to the man, he goes one game at a time, and he always speaks about how it's a process, how it's a continuous process. We keep learning, but it's very important to take it one game at a time. I know there will be sadness, there will be that remorse of not lifting the cup last year and ending up with a silver medal, but I think that's only, as I said earlier, that's only going to act as fuel, and it's only going to push him and the team also, like key players like Thiago Silva, who couldn't win it last year. Of course, he's got a reason to win it. But even the youngsters, you talk about someone like Mason Mount, someone like Ben Chilwell, Reece James, who'll be playing their first Champions League final. I think it's great motivation for them too, even though they've probably not played such a big game in their career before. I think this will be the perfect time for them to shine, to show on a world stage what they're made of, what the Chelsea Academy is made of also. I think I need to mention that the amount of youngsters that we have at Chelsea who've been doing well in the last couple of seasons, it's so nice to see youngsters coming through the system and actually making it big. So, as much as revenge and Thomas Tuchel and everything, I think it's also about these youngsters who'll get a chance to shine. And I don't think they should be going in with the mentality that the revenge or even Bayern Munich or anything like that. I feel they should go in, look at it as a new game. We defeated City twice, right? Like we in the last month, we've won against them twice, I guess. So I don't want us to get complacent in any way. It's a new game, it's a fresh start. Look at it as a new game and just absolutely give your 100% on the field. That's what I hope from the boys.
Now it's funny that you mentioned the whole how you guys beat City twice this season, because this actually is the eighth time that Tuchel and Pep will be meeting each other. This final, and most of their early meetings were in the Bundesliga, where Pep managed Bayern and Tuchel was, I think he was managing Mainz and Dortmund at the time. Pep does have a better overall record, but Tuchel seemed to have his number ever since he came to England. Do you think that will hold up in such a big game, or the most important game in either of their careers at this moment?
See, when you talk about these head-to-head records, I won't look much into it because it's a Champions League final. All that goes out the window once these two teams go on the pitch. And also, when it comes to the two wins, I mean, the boys played really well in both the wins against Manchester City, but Manchester City never played their strongest squads in both games. I mean, it was one of them was admittedly a FA Cup semi-final, but they still the team that is going to play tomorrow, I believe, is going to be much different compared to the team that played on that day. And it's going to be about who can take the chances, and Chelsea haven't been able to do that. And whereas even if you're a Manchester City boss, and even if your team's having an off day, if you look at your bench and you have two strikers like Jesus and Sergio Aguero, that can change the game completely. So tomorrow it's all about Tuchel getting his tactics right and the players actually implementing it properly, because it's going to be a game of few chances. It's going to be a very caged game, I believe. I mean, it might open up a bit, but if if one team takes the chance, then that team has a better chance of winning tomorrow than before. But to get to your point, I don't think head-to-head record matters a lot in these kind of scenarios.
Chelsea are a club that are known for loaning players out. I mean, I'm sorry to be blunt, but that's how it is. But in the past 2 years, we've seen that trend change ever since Frank Lampard came on and you had that transfer embargo for some amount of time. So how much of an effect do you think the youth? I'm talking like, since Tane mentioned the youth, or do you say the academy, Chelsea academy? How much of an effect will that your youth players have on this final?
So, if you look at it, Mason Mount has been our player of the season. He's been declared the player's player of the season already. He's, 20, 21, I guess. There's going to be Reece James, who I'm pretty sure would start. There will be Ben Chilwell, even though he's not from the academy. He's English, he's young. I feel like a lot of English youngsters were given their chances thanks to that whole transfer ban. But somehow, if I'm being very honest, I feel like Frank Lampard, knowing the man, I think he would have given the academy boys their chances even without the transfer ban, if I'm being very honest. So I feel Frank started it, and Thomas, he's always spoken about his fondness for the academy boys, Tuchel. So, deep down, even I knew, like, Tuchel right now, he's giving chances to someone like a Billy Gilmore. He's got Angerin in there, who trains with the team basically day in, day out. We've got a couple of under 23 players who are also being trained in the sessions, and they're trying to get them into the first team squad and everything. So I feel the current situation for Chelsea Football Club is absolutely great when it comes to the youngsters. And it just goes to show where they can take you. The fact that Mason Mount was declared the player of the season in a season where strikers like Werner, Havertz, Ziyech all came along, all these attacking players joined us. And yet you see that Mason Mount has been like a standout force in the attacking third at least. Just speaks volume of the great talents that we have, and I just hope we can uncover the next Mount now. and like we can say it like we've found another Mount, we found another James, we found another Chilwell. I want to hear those things from the fans now. So yeah, it's really exciting times.
Cool. Chelsea's academy is pretty good. We've seen the an evidence of that in recent years. So, on the flip side, Manchester City also seem to be cultivating something special. And what do you think will hurt you the most with Manchester City's team? Like, what are you guys most apprehensive of about Manchester City this year in the final?
I mean, I think it's just going to be that Manchester City are going to come out all guns blazing. You know it because their whole project has been based on them winning the Champions League. Sheikh Mansour bought the team, what, 8, 9 years ago, and the curbstone of his project was that he wanted to win the Champions League, and this is the best chance they have, and they are going to go for it without a doubt. All the players, they have amazing attacking talents like Kevin De Bruyne, a generational talent like Phil Foden, and they have, even their fullbacks Cancelo and Mendy, Zinchenko. These are all attacking players. You can get screwed over in any position. So it's all up to Chelsea trying to figure out how to handle the pressure, how to absorb the pressure, and they haven't been doing a good job at it for the past few games, especially considering our last 3, 4 games have been sort of cup finals. I mean, other than the Leicester win, we actually did lose to Leicester in an FA Cup final, and the final game of the Premier League season was also basically a playoff for the top 4 spot, and we lost it. And we were just, I wouldn't say lucky, but yeah, we were a bit lucky to get it, considering that Tottenham actually won their game. So, when Chelsea haven't been able to take the chances this year, it's proven to be very costly, and that might come to bite us in the final. And it's going to be very hard because they have a man mounted in Diaz, and it's going to be an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, that kind of a final. And hopefully we can do really well in that. And we really need Werner to start, you know. I have
This
my
would be a great time
reservations
to
on
start,
Werner.
isn't it, right?
Yeah, but I mean he's done really well on his debut season, but he could have been doing much better. If that's all.
Honestly, I feel like Timo Werner deserves like a whole podcast for himself. Like you need to reserve one whole episode for Timo Werner because there's so much to talk about his one season at Chelsea this time.
I'm pretty sure I could make a 12 to 13 minute compilation of all his offside calls and misses. I'm pretty sure that would have a huge audience as well. But
Some of the goals he scored during when he was offside are mind blowing, but some of the misses he's
Yeah,
had
actually.
is ridiculous.
yeah, but you need to give him some. I'm saying never judge a player by his first season in any league. Some of them, yeah, some of them hit the ground running like you've seen with Bruno or you've seen with Diaz. But some of them take that time to adjust, maybe get used to the style of play, and I think that should be given to every player, even Havertz, even Ziyech, even Werner, whoever. So, but yeah, there is a point to be made that he is missing a lot of sitters. Now, moving on. I mean, oh, actually, not moving on. Staying with City and Pep in focus. Ever since he left Barcelona, there's been this crowd of people chanting, "You can't do it without Messi. You can't do it without Barcelona." Now that Pep's in a final and there is no Barcelona, there is no Messi. How much pressure is Pep under to deliver right now? Like,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. See, the thing with Pep is he said it out aloud enough number of times. For him, the ultimate goal is winning the Champions League, right? He's won countless league titles, irrespective of whether it be Germany and Bayern or it be City and Premier League. He's done the league titles. He knows he always has a team that is good enough to be in the running for the league title. It's the Champions League that has always haunted him, and like I don't need to say this, but yeah, I think the pressure is gonna be huge. And for me, I feel like Pep is the kind of guy he's been criticized for overthinking sometimes, and I feel that criticism is a bit harsh. I feel he's a genius. He's a generational manager, in my opinion. Like, massive respect for the guy. His achievements speak for themselves, basically, right? So, as a Chelsea fan, all I can hope for is he overthinks the final. But yeah, he's got a for me, Riyad Mahrez. Okay, he might not be as good as Messi, but his left foot, when he strikes it, he's almost like Messi level. So he's got those players. He's got Foden. He's got Mahrez. He's got his Kevin De Bruyne, of course. He's got his trump cards that he could play at any time. And there's just one thing like I would like to add. I feel Chelsea and Man City are the two clubs with the richest bench strength. All right. So as Avinash said, this might be a very caged match, might be a 1-0 or a 2-1 kind of match. I feel the impact of subs is gonna be huge. And for that reason, I feel Pep might hold a few cards back on Saturday. He might not. We might not see one or maybe two names that we expected to see, because he's just smart that way. He's in there for the long game, and I feel like even Tuchel that way, how he uses his subs is gonna be very important. I feel like this Champions League final might just be decided by a substitute.
Cool. Now, I actually had that written down. Staying on that point, Avinash, who do you think will be the most impactful player this particular match? Like, it can be Chelsea, it can be City. Who do you think will have the most impact in the game?
No, I feel like
I mean, I know it's
I have an answer. I feel like no matter what, even if it's for good or bad in the final, I think Timo Werner is going to be the most impactful, either for his misses or for the goals he scores. I mean, he's a very smart player. There's no denying that he has an amazing record. He started off as a winger who's converted into a forward, who scored goals for fun for Leipzig and all that. But for some reason, he hasn't been able to translate that form here. And this might just be his game. I mean, he's a good player. The kind of graph he's had, the way he's played at Leipzig, how he started off as a winger and then a forward who started scoring a lot of goals. He even, at one point, he was in the Golden Boot race with Lewandowski over there. So he hasn't been able to translate that form into Chelsea, and it's been a hard season. We're living in very uncertain times. The COVID scenario has really messed up everything for everyone. So it's sort of understandable when some people haven't been able to, set the Premier League alight, especially when they've come from a foreign country, and this is not a league they're used to, and they can't go out as much, they can't mingle, they don't have a social life. So maybe it's understandable, but now I think when we've reached the final, I think this is the right time, the right place, it's the right opportunity for him to basically show Chelsea why we've cashed the big bucks for him. Uh, to have such an impactful performance in a Champions League final would be the icing on the cake for him already in a very short career at Chelsea. And if he does have a very good game on Sunday, then his career at Chelsea might just go up, and then the fans will start to adore him. So I think and I hope that he has the most impact on that game.
That's actually a very interesting answer. I was not expecting that, but that's cool. So, as much as I don't like speculating, moving back to Pep, as much as I don't like speculating, if Pep wins this final, do you see him sticking around in Manchester? Because he would have done it all by then. He's won the league, I think, 3 times in his past 5 years. Now he wins the Champions League. That's, I think, project over. And how much Pep loves a sabbatical. What do you think? Do you think Pep will stick around?
Okay. Honestly, he just signed a contract extension, right? If I'm not mistaken. I think last summer he did sign a contract extension.
Yeah, but I think that was for 2 years. That he think it
That was
lasts
for
around till 2022, if I'm not
22, right?
mistaken. But my
Yeah.
point still remains. He's done everything there is to do. Do you think he still will stay at Manchester?
So Pep usually does these 4 or 5 year cycles, as far as I remember. I think Bayern Munich was there for 4 years, and even with Barca, I think 3 or 4 years. So it's been an extended stay with Man City. Okay, let's be honest. He's gonna finish like 6 or 7 years there. Um, I feel I feel he's content if he wins a Champions League before he leaves. I feel like somehow psychologically deep down he might think, okay, cool, job done. Like I was here to win a Champions League. I've won a Champions League now. Do I move on? He has to have an honest conversation with himself. A coach always likes to challenge himself wherever he goes, and I feel like if Pep feels his job is done and that he needs a new challenge in life, he needs something exciting, then I think he'll move on. He's not the one to hang around for too long. But again, what he's created at City is something special. So if he decides to carry it on for, like, let's say another 3 or 4 years, well, it's gonna cause some destruction in the Premier League. It's gonna cause some destruction around Europe. But I feel like he's a man who knows when his time is up. And if he feels like his time is up and it's time for a fresh challenge somewhere else, then I do see him walking out of City. Yeah.
So now that we've taken a look at some broad strokes, I wanted to talk about some players in particular. So we'll take a look at some key players who might have an impact on the match. Like I just asked you about Werner. So we'll start off with Chelsea. So you have in between your sticks, you probably have Edward Mendy starting. 'Cause we don't know if he will start because of the injury he picked up last week. But I'm hoping he does start. With some enough rest and recuperation. So what do you guys think? How important do you think Mendy will be in the game?
I mean, he's the goalkeeper, so he is going to be a very important player. But other than that, to have a keeper like Edward Mendy who's come into the Premier League, and he's had a season absolutely different from Werner, because Edward Mendy's performed admirably, and he even came in, you know, 3-4 games into the season, and he was in the race for a Golden Glove, and just lost out to Ederson. So I think if he does miss the final, he's going to be a huge miss. I hope he's fit enough to play the final, because we need that sort of commanding presence. We need that sort of, we need a guy who can actually save goals, and that player is Edouard Mendy. So hopefully he can make it for the finals.
Yeah. Absolutely, dude. Mendy has been rock solid, okay? Like, let's not kid around. He's been a wall. So, yeah, Mendy. But I feel, I don't know if, like, this is the right time, but I just like to bring up Kepa. I feel like fans have been very harsh with Kepa, all right? He was actually, under Tuchel, I feel like Kepa has been doing well. I know he was the goalkeeper in charge for the losses at Arsenal and against Leicester, but I don't hold him against those two goals. All right, like the Arsenal goal was just like a freak back pass, and then Leicester City goal was like out from 30 yards, just one belter of a hit. All I'm saying is, Mendy, while he's been rock solid, he's been really good. I just like to take one word for Kepa because he's been doing well. Okay, he's got that 70 million price tag and everything, and it's a psychological thing, I guess. But him under Frank was very different, and then if you see Kepa under Tuchel, he's clearly improving. So while fingers crossed, I hope Mendy recovers on time. And I think in the press conference yesterday, Tuchel did say that he's recovering well. He was much better after the game itself on Saturday. So while I do hope Mendy starts, just a word for Kepa, like, you've been doing well too. We trust you. But yeah, I do hope Mendy starts. I do hope Mendy starts.
Yeah, I'm sure Kepa is tuning into our podcast to listen. Your
Yeah. Kepa, we got a Spanish version soon. Just stick
yeah.
around
We'll invite him over.
long enough.
Right. Speaking of one Spaniard, we'll move on to another Spaniard. How much of an influence or impact do you think Cesar Azpilicueta will have? Because of his experience and that stability he brings around the back.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dave is going to be, huge for us in the finals, because you need that sort of leader presence in the final, and he is our captain. I mean, obviously we have Thiago Silva as well, but he's been Mr. Consistent for the last 9 years. He even played left back, center back, right back. He's done it all for us. So I think this is, and he's 35 right now. So I think this is like the highest his career can go. Obviously, he's in the Spain squad for the Euros, but to win the Champions League final is just going to be different. And the impact, I'm going to, if you remember, well, obviously he started off the season as right centre back, but for the past two games, he's been playing at right back, whereas Reece James has been playing at right centre back. Now, that's actually a very good, tactic by Tuchel. But the thing is, I don't feel like it's worked. I think Aspi needs to go back to his right centre back position and James play in the right back position because I mean, obviously, I think Aspilicueta is one of the best one-on-one defenders in the Premier League, but we need an attacking outlet on the right back, and James provides that better than anyone else in our team. And Aspi is going to be rock solid as ever. Him and Thiago Silva, I don't think are going to make a mistake tomorrow. I genuinely can't see them making a mistake. So I think that tweak needs to be made so that we can have a better chance of winning it tomorrow.
Yep. Actually, I 200% agree that I hope he starts as the right center back. That was one point I was going to bring up as well. The whole swap with Reece James. I mean, I understand against Leicester why he did it with Vardy's pace and everything, but I didn't really understand the logic against. I mean, I know Watkins is pretty quick too, but against Aston Villa, I would have preferred to see Aspi starting as the right center back then. But I think against a team like Man City, they've not got out and out fast paced wingers or a striker that way. So I just feel like I think we might see Aspilicueta back in his right centre back position and Reece James going back into the wing back position. So I do hope that happens.
One more point to make. If you remember the league game Chelsea played against Manchester City, where Reece James played right back, he gave Benjamin Mendy a horrid time. Mendy could not cope with him. And I mean, I don't know if Mendy will start the final tomorrow. I think it will be Zinchenko. But that just shows you what James can do to anyone. He can, outrun anyone and he can bend in those crosses. I think he's the best cross in the Premier League after Trent. And that's quite good. So I hope he plays at the right back position.
Dude, it's like Reece James, all his crosses are just like, it's dangerous. Okay, like you look at him
I'm sure
crossing,
if
some
Timo Werner
things.
had at least just put his leg out two or three times, they could have scored easily. I swear.
No,
I
but
mean,
then VAR would have ruled it as offside because it's Werner.
right, right. So, but yeah, his crosses are really scrumptious and they are a striker's dream. Right. So now that we've discussed about Aspilicueta, I'd like to move on to a player who is, I wouldn't say defensively minded, but at the same time he's improved his attacking game a lot. I'm talking, of course, about N'Golo Kante. More often than not, when he plays well, the team plays well. So, how much of an impact do you think Kante will have in that final?
I mean, obviously he's the best player in his position in the world, I think, and he is going to have a massive impact in the final because, like you said, whenever he plays well, the team plays well, and they usually end up winning. And now he's also been, contributing to attacks. He's been making those odd runs into the box from midfield, which is what basically Maurizio Sarri wanted out of him in 2018, and which he couldn't do it well. And Tuchel is doing that superbly right now to get Kante, in a more goal scoring and more attacking presence in the box. To be able to do that with Kante is massive, and I just hope that he's able to play in the final because I think even he was he had a sort of a niggle and he was taken off against Leicester. And I mean, it goes to show you that see, without Conte, we haven't actually won our last two games. So he really is an important part of our midfield, and hopefully he's there tomorrow.
Yeah, well, so with Angolo, I think Thomas Tuchel, he said it multiple times with NG playing, it's like two players in the packet of like half a size. player. So his game is the reading of the game. It's absolutely out of the world. Okay, the interceptions he makes, he's always there in the right place for some reason, and that goes to show how intelligent a sports person, a footballer he is. So yeah, N'Golo Kante, he's gonna be massive. Also, I feel both City and Chelsea have favored this possession-based football, where both City and Chelsea have tried to keep the ball in the attacking third of the opposition and try to regain as much of the possession as they could every time they lost the ball, or just keep on mounting the pressure basically. So on Saturday, I feel City will be the team that's doing this a lot more. That's trying to build up attacks through possession-based footballs, and I feel Chelsea might be more the counter-attacking team. Of course, they'll have their periods too. Chelsea will have its periods of possession and everything, but I feel like our game is kind of gonna be a little counter-attacking based, and for that, how important Kante is gonna be. I'm pretty sure it's if we score a goal through a counter attack, I can almost bet that Kante would start the move probably by stealing the ball or something and then passing it forward because he can do that. He can defend for you. He can carry the ball forward. He's the perfect midfielder in my opinion right now. Like, probably the best in the world also.
Yeah, for sure. He's yeah, like Avinash mentioned, he is the best in the world in his position. Moving on to somebody that you both have talked about is, I'm talking about Mason Mount. He has become quite the sensation in recent years, in the beginning with Frank Lampard, and now, I mean, there was this period where he was also adored by Gareth Southgate, the England coach. So, I mean, I don't know if it's moot to ask, but what kind of impact do you think Mount will have on the match?
I mean, Mason Mount has just proven time and time again that he is a very good player. The amount of criticism he faced, for being Frank Lampard's favorite and then being Gareth Southgate's favorite. Absolute ridiculous criticism. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it then. I still don't understand it because he's shown the maturity. He's shown his talents. He's shown his skills, and he's just basically he's he's what Chelsea is. He's an academy product who's come through the ranks and who actually captained Chelsea for a couple of games, and that shows you what the Chelsea academy is all about. And to see him perform so well is absolutely wonderful. And his work ethic is just brilliant. The way he runs around always, he keeps trying to get into those spaces, and when he loses possession, and he tries to win it back, and it's I'm at a loss for words basically because I didn't expect a player like Mason Mount, especially when I saw him at Derby County. I used to follow him there, so I didn't think he would be this big a player for Chelsea in the coming years. And to see his growth the last couple of years, and he's also one of the first names in the English squad, so it's just brilliant. It's wonderful to see.
Yeah, for me, more than his I know his talent, his work ethics, his skills are all top class up there of top footballer. But for me, what stands out the most about Mason Mount is the fact that as a Chelsea fan, I think it's the easiest to relate to Mason Mount because he's a Chelsea fan too. And you see it, like when the team is not doing well, you can see how frustrated he gets, or you can see the disappointment. And when the team does well, you see the joy on his face. For me, Mason Mount is Chelsea right now. He's almost embodied Chelsea, the football club, and he's become the face of this upcoming generation. And he's gonna be someone that the Chelsea academy players can look up to and just look at him and be like, okay, cool, we can do this too. If he could do it, we could be there too. So I think Mason Mount, he's gonna have a huge impact. Maybe not with an assist or a goal, but the work he does, winning the ball, or maybe carrying it forward, or just pressing when we lose the ball. All that goes in and it contributes in the final result. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what Mason has to offer on Saturday.
There's one player I would like to mention, and I rarely say bad about Chelsea players, but I really want Jorginho to I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with him. I really don't know what's wrong with him. The last couple of we conceded the goals we've conceded. The loss to Arsenal was mainly because of Jorginho. I mean, it was because of Jorginho, and also against Villa, he conceded a penalty. There's something not. I mean, it's just not clicking. I don't know what's happening in Jorginho's head, especially considering like I think a couple of weeks ago he came out and he said, "I'm having the time of my life under Tuchel," and he said a few words about Lampard and all that. But ever since then, his form's gone down. And I really hope he has a good game tomorrow if he starts. I really don't think he should start. I think Kovacic and Kante should play, but if he starts, I hope he has a good game tomorrow. This is me being very like borderline negative. I can really rip into him if I want for the past 2 game weeks, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, I have seen you rip into him as well. So I suggest, yeah, but no, yeah, that was fairly articulate. So yeah, but okay, now that that's out of your system, I would like to move over to the other side and discuss some of the players that City might count on in the final. So, like Mendy, City have their own, wall between the sticks. You have Ederson. He won the Golden Glove this year. He's been a very consistent performer. Do you have anything else to add about Ederson? Because I'm pretty sure whatever has to be said has been said by everybody from the hills to the rivers, everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there is not much to say about Ederson. The only I mean, he's the goalkeeper everyone wanted, and to get into a Pep Guardiola team and to see his growth from there, I mean, it's just world class. He's so confident that he said, "I will take the fifth penalty if it goes to penalty shootouts." That is the kind of mentality Guardiola has instilled in a goalkeeper. Imagine the rest of the players. And he is also a dangerous player for the game. I mean, he can punt a long ball from nowhere and get an assist in the game. So every position is dangerous tomorrow, starting from the goalkeeper. And he's going to be a wall tomorrow. He knows it's his game to shine. He knows I mean, the whole City team knows that this is their game. They have to win this, and it's going to be hard to beat them, especially if Ederson is in good form tomorrow. Why am I saying tomorrow? On Saturday or Sunday? Sunday, yeah.
For me, I think Ederson probably has the best distribution amongst goalkeepers in Europe right now. Like, if you look at any other goalkeeper, their passing, I don't think anybody gets close to Ederson in that regard. Like, okay, cool, he's been getting those clean sheets, he's been saving goals, saving shots, all that. Great. Like, I think everyone expected Ederson to do that, but his passing abilities, the distribution, oh my god, it's been unbelievable. Yeah.
Ederson does hold the Guinness World Record for the longest goal kick also as well, if I remember correctly. I did see the video on YouTube. So,
Yeah, me too.
You know the most the most incredible thing. Ederson does not start for Brazil because they have Alisson. That's the I've never understood that because obviously Alisson is a great keeper, but imagine having a keeper like Ederson and putting him on the bench. I couldn't even think of it.
okay, moving on from the goalkeeping position to one of the most impressive signings of the season. Ruben Diaz has been quite influential for City.
Yeah, I
And
mean, yeah.
again, I don't want to sound like a parrot, but what impact do you think that Ruben Diaz will have on the game?
I mean, he's already had like the biggest impact anyone could have in the Premier League. In the Premier League, he's come in all guns blazing. He's just started to throw his body around, defend every ball, every shot, and that's the kind of defender everyone wants. And he's also filled in that void for City. Once Company left, they had last season they had a sort of a problem. They didn't have that leader figure to lead them on. I mean, for a bit it was Aymeric Laporte, but he kind of fizzled out. And to have Diaz come in, and then to have that kind of impact in a Premier League winning team is just too good. And I mean, he's like an old school defender. You shall not pass, that kind of defender. So to get past him tomorrow is going to be a big deal. Hopefully he has a bad game. Hopefully he trips and gives us the ball. That's all I can pray for. There's nothing much I can say about him. He's just too good.
Yeah, for me, I think, yeah, a lot of focus is going to be on Diaz, but I think his centre back partner also might be prone to making mistakes. If John Stones starts, I know he's rejuvenated his career. Like in last year, he's just come out from the dead, and now he's like he probably, I don't know if he made it to the England squad. I think he did, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I know like Ruben Diaz, everyone's talking about him. As a Chelsea fan, from coming from like complete Chelsea perspective, I feel like we gotta attack Stones. I feel like he's that one player who might just make a few mistakes on the big day, and I feel like yeah, with Diaz, you there's just no getting through. Basically, he's so brilliant with his tackles, his blocks, everything, his reading of the game situation and everything. It's beautiful. So yeah, I think like instead of focusing on Diaz, focus a little bit more on his partner and like maybe get your goal from there.
Right. Okay. Now, another player I'd like to highlight. Actually, when I was going through this, making this list, I kind of noticed that almost every player in City seems to be a key player. Right. So yeah. So I want to talk about somebody who actually might not start the game. I want to talk about Phil Foden. A little bit at least. Yeah. I mean, like I asked Avinash, who do you think will have the most impact? The answer could conversely have been Phil Foden from the bench as well, right? Is that not a fair assumption to make?
I mean, I'll be fair with you. I think Phil Foden is starting the final. I
Yeah,
don't see
me
him
too.
not starting the final. I mean, because ever since the semi quarterfinal stage of the Champions League, Guardiola hasn't played with a recognized number nine. He's played Foden, he's played Mahrez, and he's played De Bruyne or Bernardo Silva up
Yeah,
front, and
yeah.
that's worked wonders. And I think Phil Foden is going to start the final, and he can't not start him with the form he's been carrying out throughout the season, and especially towards the last part of the season, where he scored that wonder goal against Brighton, even in that loss they had, that Mazy run and the goal. So I think he's going to start. I mean, it's going to be hard for Chelsea to keep track of all these players, but I think they can do it. I mean, Chelsea had a record for most clean sheets under a new manager. So I think Tuchel knows what to do. I think he has a plan. I think they can do it, but it's going to be really hard. It really is going to be hard. And Phil Foden, like I said, is a generational talent, and I don't think Guardiola is going to make the call of not playing him in the final.
Right. So, do you guys have anybody else that you think might impact the game in City's team? Because I kind of I think I've said everybody.
I mean, like you said, every position, every player matters, and especially in the case of City, every player can make an impact. And like I said, even if by chance Manchester City is having a bad day on the pitch, they're not able to, finish the chances. And if Guardiola just turns around and if he's Sergio Aguero, there's another guy who can make an impact off the bench, and it's going to be his last game for City ever. So he'll have that extra fuel in him. So, and I mean, City are the best team in Europe right now, and they are in the final game for the best team in Europe title. And it's just going to be, like I said, it's going to be very hard, but it's going to be a great game. I know it. I know it. I know it's going to be a great game.
Uh, just a word on Phil Foden actually. The fact that he successfully managed to bench Raheem Sterling, I think this speaks. I think it's an achievement because Raheem Sterling, the kind of form he's been in the last 2 seasons or something, you could never imagine him not starting a Champions League final for City. But I think on Saturday we'll see Raheem Sterling on the bench and Phil Foden started in his place. So the youngsters doing well. There's been a lot of talk about the whole, Foden versus Mount, the future of England, and all that. But I feel both these players, in their own regards, have done really well. Also, Foden in a recent interview said the hardest defender or like defensive player he's come against is N'Golo Kante. So I'm kind of counting on that. Like I just hope he sees Kante and like maybe loses the ball or something. So yeah, but apart from that, yeah, impact players for City, as I said, Riyad Mahrez is got a beautiful left foot, and we got to be wary of him. His shots can come from anywhere. Basically, he can just shoot the ball anywhere around that right wing to the right side of the box, anywhere in between he can take a shot. And this KDB, Kevin De Bruyne, the ever-lurking presence. Yeah, if KDB has a good game, City will have a good game. Basically, he's almost their talisman, carries the team that way. Uh, so yeah, if we can keep KDB quiet, we can keep Mahrez quiet, we can keep Foden also quiet. We might just win. So yeah, let's see. City have really good players, basically.
I mean, okay. I mean, honestly, the only chance Chelsea have, the only weak link I could say in City's team is the left back
Yeah,
position, and that's not even a weak link. That's just you know an 8 on 10
yeah,
instead of a 9 on 10.
dude.
That's about
Dude,
it.
for all you
So
know, Cancelo might just start left back. He might play Walker and
you
Cancelo.
never know.
Yeah.
Pep Guardiola's been a pretty big, on he's not been trustworthy about his signings for FPL managers. So you don't know what kind of team he's going to put out in the final on Sunday.
Right. So we'll move on to your predicted lineups. What do you think the lineup will be for the UCL final?
I think if all the injury problems, I mean, all the players who have those knocks and niggles, I think if they're all fine, I think Chelsea will probably have a very recognized lineup. I think, we'll have Mendy in goal and we'll have our three centre backs. I think the centre back position, I don't know who's going to play because Christensen was really our go to man up until the win we had at City where he pulled a hamstring and then we've been playing Silva, Aspi, and uh, Rudiger. So I don't know. I know Silva and Aspi will start. I don't know about the third centre back position. I don't know if Rudiger will get another chance. Maybe he will because Christensen hasn't played since that game. But other than that, I think the right and left positions going to Chilwell and James. That's pretty obvious.
I'm pretty sure, dude. I think Rudiger is gonna start as the left centre back because I've been happy with his performances. If I'm being honest, I think he's put in the work of an absolute beast. Like he's been a beast transformed. Wearing that mask and everything. He looks like a man on a mission, and I do feel it's gonna be Aspi, Thiago Silva, and Rudiger as a back three. As Avinash said earlier, I hope to see Kovacic and Kante start. There has been this whole cloud around Jorginho and his performance and everything. So I hope to see Kante and Kovacic start. And I think with the front three, there's like gonna be a huge debate or something. Like I'm not too sure if my front three matches with Avinash's front three.
See, I think, and
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like Tanay said, the front three is very flexible. So I think Mount, Pulisic, and Werner will play. But the thing is, Kai Havertz can also play as a false nine, and maybe he might do that because to get that aerial threat. But I don't think he's going to go with that whole option. I think he wants to attack the centre backs directly. I think he needs a player to run in those channels like Werner. He needs someone to keep making those runs, and I think if someone can take on Stones, I think Werner is the better man to do it than Havertz. So I feel he will play, and Havertz will be on the bench.
Uh, so for me, okay, I feel like, of course, Mount and Werner will start, and I will play Werner as my striker, not through the left wing. But I'll play ZH in the right wing position. I think he did well in the semi final, got a goal also. So there will be some confidence. I think he got a goal against them in the league. I'm not too sure, but there is
Yeah,
enough
he scored the
of
winner. Yeah,
confidence. Yeah, there is enough confidence in there. So I would start ZA, Werner, and Mount as my front three.
but I'll be very honest with you. I
Yeah,
don't think Ziyech has performed really well this year. Because
yeah,
I
he
mean, other than
hasn't.
the goals he
He
scored in
has
the Champions League and in the
my
semi-finals,
my explanation for not starting Pulisic or Kai okay, mainly Pulisic. I wanted to start Pulisic, but I am not playing him because I think he's gonna be the impact sub for us. If he comes on in like the 60th, 70th minute, he has the ability to completely change the game on its head. So I would want to see Pulisic as a substitute in the final. And yeah, Ziyech, I feel like, again, he's been a big game player for Ajax in the past, all right? He's done well in those Champions League knockout stages. So, I for some reason want to start Ziyech in this one. So, for me, it's going to be Mount, Werner, and Ziyech.
Cool. So, right. So before we close this particular discussion, there is still the matter of the score lines. So, Avinash, what do you think? Or wait, no, Tanay, what do you think the score line will be of the UCL final?
Okay, so if shit goes to penalty, I'm predicting a 1-1 scoreline and penalties. But as a Chelsea fan, and like if you from like the bottom of my heart and everything, I hope to see a 2-1 Chelsea win.
No, you need to give me one prediction. So, is it going to be a 1-1 penalty or a 2-1 Chelsea win?
I'm gonna be optimistic and just say 2-1 Chelsea win. Let's go.
Okay, so Tanay is going with a 2-1 Chelsea win. Avinash.
See, the thing is, I don't know how to call it because I remember last Champions League final, it was Bayern PSG, and everyone called it like a 3-2 or like a goal scoring final, and it was 1-0. So, like, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's a Champions League final. You don't know what the scoreline is going to be, but, since the whole discussion, I mean, I kind of agree with Tanay. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win in extra time, maybe, or maybe in the 90 minutes. I'm not sure about that, but I think it'll be a 2-1 win to Chelsea.
Okay, so we have a unanimous scoreline, a 2-1 win for Chelsea in the UCL final. Right, and so on that note, I think it's time to end our episode. Tanay and Avinash, thank you so much for joining us. It was actually a lot of fun doing this. Thank you, whoever's listening, for spending this time with us. If you stuck around this long, be sure to check out our channel and our Instagram page. We'll be back with more episodes, and until then, stay safe, stay indoors, and get vaccinated. Cheers.